March 1st, 2026, 9:17 local time, the northern Persian Gulf. The launch is detected before it leaves the ground. American satellites positioned in geosynchronous orbit 22,000 miles above the Middle East capture the infrared signature of a missile motor igniting. The data transmits instantaneously to ground stations. Processing takes 0.8 seconds. At 9:17:03, an alert appears on screens at Space Command headquarters in Colorado, at CENTCOM in Tampa, and at 5th Fleet in Bahrain. Missile launch detected. Origin, Iranian territory, 47 kilometers northeast of Bushehr. Trajectory analysis. Developing. 4 seconds later, a second alert. Trajectory confirmed. Target, USS Shoup. Currently operating in grid reference, 27 degrees, 14 minutes north, 50 degrees, 31 minutes east. The Shoup has 91 seconds to live, or to defend herself. I'm your host at U.S. Defense Review, where we analyze the military operations that shape global security. The April 2nd engagement demonstrated the terrifying speed of modern missile warfare and the even more terrifying speed of American retaliation. From satellite detection to impact, 91 seconds. From impact to the first American weapons destroying Iranian targets, 21 minutes. This is how wars are fought in the 21st century. Let's understand the intelligence architecture. The United States maintains a constellation of satellites specifically designed to detect missile launches anywhere on Earth. These satellites use infrared sensors tuned to the specific heat signatures of rocket motors. When a missile launches, the satellites see it, often before the missile even clears its launcher. This capability exists primarily to provide warning of nuclear attack. Intercontinental ballistic missiles launched at American cities would be detected within seconds, giving decision-makers precious minutes to respond. But the same satellites that watch for nuclear missiles also watch for tactical ones. Every Iranian missile launch during the Gulf confrontation was detected by American space assets before it reached its target. The challenge isn't detection, it's response time. On April 2nd, the warning came 91 seconds before impact. That sounds like plenty of time. It isn't. Consider what has to happen in those 91 seconds. The satellite data must be processed and classified. The trajectory must be calculated and the target identified. The warning must be transmitted to the targeted ship. The ship's crew must receive, process, and act on the warning. Defensive systems must be activated, aimed, and fired. Interceptors must fly to the target and destroy it. 91 seconds for all of that. The USS Shoup was an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer operating in the northern Persian Gulf, approximately 45 kilometers from the Iranian coast. Her mission was routine patrol, presence operations in waters that had seen dozens of engagements over the preceding 2 years. Her crew was experienced. They had participated in multiple defensive engagements. They knew what to do when missiles came. At 9:17:07, the Shoup received the satellite warning via the tactical data link. The message was automated. No human in the loop at this stage. The ship's computers processed the incoming data and calculated that the threat was real. At 9:17:09, alarm sounded throughout the ship. General quarters, missile inbound. At 9:17:14, the AN/S PY-1D radar detected the incoming missile directly. The satellite warning was confirmed. The threat was a Fateh-110 short-range ballistic missile, the same type that had been used in multiple previous attacks. Time to impact, 78 seconds. Lieutenant Commander David Morrison, the Tactical Action Officer, authorized weapons release at 9:17:19, 5 seconds after direct radar detection. 2 SM-6 missiles launched at 9:17:22 and 9:17:25. The SM-6 was the Navy's most capable interceptor against ballistic targets, fast enough and maneuverable enough to engage missiles in their terminal descent. The engagement geometry was challenging. The Fateh-110 was descending at Mach 4, following a steep trajectory. The SM-6ES had to climb to meet it, calculate the intercept point, and arrive at precisely the right moment. At 9:18:21, the first SM-6 reached its intercept point. Miss. The Fateh-110 had executed a terminal maneuver, a slight course adjustment that changed its descent angle by a few degrees. The SM-6's predictive algorithms hadn't accounted for the maneuver. The interceptor passed 30 meters behind the target. At 9:18:24, the second SM-6 engaged. This one was closer. The SM-6's seeker had tracked the target's maneuver and adjusted. The intercept geometry was converging. Proximity detonation. The SM-6's warhead exploded 12 meters from the Fateh-110. Fragments struck the Iranian missile, damaging its airframe. But the Fateh-110 kept coming. Wounded, but not killed. Time to impact, 14 seconds. The Phalanx CIWS engaged at 9:18:31. The 20mm Gatling gun began tracking the damaged, tumbling missile. At Mach 4, the Fateh-110 was covering approximately 1,300 meters per second. The Phalanx had less than 10 seconds of engagement time. The 20mm rounds reached toward the target. Some connected. The Fateh-110's tumbling became more violent. At 9:18:44, the Fateh-110's warhead detonated. Not from a Phalanx hit, from impact with the sea surface 23 meters from the Shoup's port side. 23 meters. Close enough that the blast wave struck the ship like a hammer. The Shoup heeled to starboard from the force of the underwater detonation. Sailors were thrown from their feet. Equipment broke loose from mounts. The hull absorbed the shock, designed to withstand exactly this kind of near miss, but not without damage. Seams split. Compartments flooded. The port propeller shaft warped from the transmitted force. 4 sailors were injured in the impact, thrown against bulkheads or struck by loose equipment. None of the injuries were life-threatening, but all 4 would require medical evacuation. No one died. The Shoup's defensive systems had prevented a direct hit, but the ship was damaged, and she had been attacked. Captain Jennifer Walsh reached the bridge at 9:19:12, 28 seconds after the near-miss detonation. She had been in her cabin when the alarm sounded, sprinting to the bridge as soon as she understood what was happening. What she found was a ship that had survived, but was hurt. Propulsion reduced. The port shaft was damaged, limiting speed to 22 knots. Hull integrity compromised. 2 compartments were taking water, though pumps were keeping pace. Casualties, 4 injured, none critical. Combat capability intact. The weapon systems had not been affected by the near miss. The Shoup could still fight. At 9:19:31, Captain Walsh made her decision. Weapons. Target the launch site. 4 Tomahawks. Fire immediately. The weapons officer responded instantly. Coordinates confirmed from satellite data. Ready to fire. Fire. At 9:19:44, the first Tomahawk launched from the Shoup's forward VLS cells. The second followed at 9:19:48. Third at 9:19:52. Fourth at 9:19:56. 4 missiles targeted at the position where satellite data indicated the Fateh-110 had launched. Walsh then transmitted to 5th Fleet. 5th Fleet, Shoup. We have been hit by near-miss detonation from Fateh-110. 4 injured. Ship damaged, but combat effective. Have initiated counterstrike on launch site. Coordinates from Space Command tracking. Request expanded target package. Vice Admiral Richardson received the transmission at 9:21. The Shoup's counterstrike was already underway. 4 Tomahawks were flying toward the launch site, but Richardson knew that 1 launch site wasn't enough. The Fateh-110 came from a mobile launcher, a truck-mounted system that could relocate within minutes. Even if the Shoup's Tomahawks hit the exact launch coordinates, the launcher might already be gone. The response needed to be broader, more comprehensive, designed to eliminate not just the launcher that had fired, but the infrastructure that supported it. At 9:24, Richardson authorized an expanded strike. Target package included the launch site, already targeted by Shoup's Tomahawks, the suspected deployment base, where the mobile launchers were garrisoned, 2 ammunition storage facilities that supplied Fateh 110 missiles, The regional IRGC command center that had coordinated the attack. 5 targets. Comprehensive destruction of the Fateh-110 capability in the northern Gulf sector. The assets responded within minutes. The cruiser USS Lake Erie launched 8 Tomahawks at 9:27. Targets: the deployment base and 1 ammunition storage facility. The destroyer USS McCampbell added 4 more at 9:29. Target: the 2nd ammunition storage facility. The destroyer USS John Paul Jones contributed 4 Tomahawks at 9:31. Target: the IRGC Regional Command Center. Total strike package: 20 Tomahawk cruise missiles against 5 Iranian military facilities. At 9:38, 21 minutes after the Shoup was hit, the first American weapons arrived. The launch site was struck first by the Shoup's own missiles. 4 Tomahawks saturated a target area 150 meters in diameter. The crater field that resulted confirmed the missiles had hit the right location, but the launcher wasn't there. As predicted, the mobile system had relocated immediately after firing. The Tomahawks destroyed empty terrain where a missile battery had been 20 minutes earlier. This is the challenge of counter-battery fire against mobile systems. Speed is essential, but even the fastest response may not be fast enough. However, the launcher couldn't operate alone. It needed fuel. It needed ammunition. It needed command authority. Those supporting elements were less mobile. At 9:41, the Lake Erie's missiles arrived at the deployment base. This facility housed the 12th Missile Battalion of the IRGC Aerospace Force, the unit responsible for Fateh-110 operations in the northern Gulf. Barracks, maintenance facilities, reload vehicles, fuel storage. 8 Tomahawks struck the base in a coordinated pattern. The barracks took 2 hits, 1 at each end of the long building. The maintenance facility took 2 more. The vehicle park, where the mobile launchers returned between missions, took 3. The fuel storage took 1. Secondary explosions confirmed the presence of propellant and ammunition. The fuel storage burned for hours. The launcher that had attacked the Shoup had escaped, but its home base was destroyed. The crews that operated it, those who weren't aboard the launcher itself, were killed. The fuel it needed was burning. The ammunition it needed was gone. At 9:43, missiles arrived at the 1st ammunition storage facility. This was a hardened site, underground bunkers designed to protect missile stocks from air attack. 4 Tomahawks weren't enough to penetrate the bunkers, but they were enough to collapse the access tunnels. The bunkers themselves might be intact, but nothing could get in or out. The missiles stored inside were effectively neutralized. At 9:45, missiles struck the 2nd ammunition storage facility. This site was less hardened, a warehouse complex with reinforced walls, but no underground sections. 4 Tomahawks demolished the structures. Secondary explosions confirmed significant ammunition stocks. Satellite imagery later showed debris consistent with 30 to 40 Fateh-110 missiles destroyed in their storage containers. An entire battalion's worth of weapons eliminated. At 9:48, missiles arrived at the IRGC Regional Command Center. This facility coordinated all Iranian military operations in the northern Gulf, not just missile attacks, but naval operations, drone activities, and coastal defense. Destroying it would disrupt Iranian command capability across the entire sector. 4 Tomahawks struck the compound. The above-ground structures collapsed. The antenna farm that provided communications was wrecked. The underground command bunker took a direct hit on its primary entrance. Later assessments estimated 30 to 40 personnel killed at the command center, including the brigadier general who commanded the region. His death created a leadership vacuum that would take months to fill. At 9:52, 21 minutes after the Shoup took damage, the strike was complete. Total damage assessment. Launch site, struck but empty. Launcher had relocated. Deployment base, destroyed. Barracks, maintenance. Vehicle park eliminated. 1st ammunition storage, neutralized. Access tunnels collapsed. 2nd ammunition storage, destroyed. 30 to 40 missiles confirmed killed. Regional Command Center, destroyed. Commander killed. Estimated Iranian casualties, 120 to 160 personnel. Estimated missile inventory destroyed, 40 to 50 Fateh-110s. Command capability, severely degraded for minimum 3 to 4 months. The Shoup herself made way toward Bahrain at reduced speed. Her port shaft damage limited her to 18 knots sustained. The transit took 11 hours. The 4 injured sailors were evacuated by helicopter within 2 hours of the attack. All recovered fully within weeks. The ship's repair assessment was moderate. New propeller shaft, hull patching, system recalibration. 6 weeks in dry dock. Captain Walsh received the Legion of Merit for her immediate counterstrike decision. Her action, launching Tomahawks within 27 seconds of confirming the attack, set a new standard for response time. The diplomatic response was muted. By April 2028, the pattern was established. Iran attacked. America responded. The international community expressed concern. Nothing changed. But the tactical lessons were significant. The April 2nd engagement demonstrated that satellite warning could give ships precious seconds of additional reaction time. The Shoup knew the missile was coming before her own radar detected it. That advance warning allowed faster defensive response. It also demonstrated the limitations of counter-battery fire against mobile launchers. The Shoup's Tomahawks hit the right coordinates. Space Command tracking was precise, but the launcher had already moved. Mobile systems require comprehensive responses, not point strikes. Most importantly, it demonstrated that 21 minutes was enough time to destroy an entire battalion's infrastructure. Not enough time to catch the fleeing launcher, but enough time to ensure that launcher had nowhere to return to, nothing to reload with, no one to give it orders. 21 minutes from near miss to regional infrastructure destruction. That's the speed of modern warfare. That's the reach of American power. That's why the Shoup's crew could take damage and still know that their attackers would pay. The Fateh-110 launcher that attacked the Shoup was never found. It presumably survived, hiding somewhere in the Iranian interior. But it never fired again. Its base was destroyed. Its ammunition was destroyed. Its command authority was dead. Survival without purpose isn't victory. It's just waiting for the end. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.